Due to updates like the PvM hub and Archaeology, the average player base has increased substantially. And with an increased player count, there's an increase in demand, and so PvM supplies are now ridiculously expensive. In this video, we're going to talk about it and show you how profitable fishing is now, so when you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. I was not kidding when I said that the average player count is much higher now. It's around 32,000 players on at any given point in time, which is something we had in around 2016. Even during the mining and smithing rework release, on average we didn't hit 32,000 concurrent players. During that time period, we did actually peak over 58,000 players, but that's not the average. On the 5th of February, about a week after the release of the PvM hub, we peaked over 105,000 players online, which is more, or was more at that time, than old school Runescape at 103,000. That is insane. Because of the release of Archaeology and the PvM hub, players won't only come back, but some will also stick around, resulting in that higher demand for supplies, whether it be skilling supplies or PvM supplies. Because at some point, those returning players that have to remax by getting 99 Archaeology will think, hey, let's go ahead and try out these new bosses. And there comes that demand. And this is a trend you can see in many items that are related to PvM. About a month after Archaeology's release, many of these items started rising drastically. Just have a look at what happened to Rocktails right after the PvM hub was announced to be released in January of 2020. Within a few months, the Rocktails had tripled in value. Now, I don't know about you, but that is just a enormous increase in price. And the same can be said for raw rocktails, of course. Now you may be thinking, well, I have a lot of money, I PvM, I make a lot of money doing PvM, so I don't really care that rocktails are 3 times as much money. 6k, all good, no problem. I use shellfish even, which are probably just as expensive, if not more expensive. Fun fact, I actually made a Reddit post at some point mentioning that rocktails were actually more expensive than shellfish, and I personally ended up selling my Rocktails collection, and I just bought Sailfish instead, which was pretty funny to see. Just a better piece of food, which wasn't obtainable through PvM or Slayer, was suddenly more expensive than the food you could only get through fishing, being Sailfish. And for those that think 300% really isn't that much, imagine if your Noxious Staff went from 130 mil to 390 mil. That's a ridiculous increase in value. Here's a value graph of sharks, which also went way up compared to what they were worth before. Blue blubber jellyfish went up as well, and I also think Archaeology had a hand in this, not only because of the increase of players, but because people were simply not fishing these blubber jellyfish any longer because they were training Archaeology instead. I truly think that contributed a lot to the spike in value. Now, initially I wanted to make a video covering fishing as a money-making method because raw fish are now so expensive. Now, let's say a year ago, fishing wasn't crazy AFK money. Sure, you could make money by training fishing AFK, but that usually wasn't more than 1 million GP, and most of the time it was less than 1 million GP. The past months, however, if you were to train fishing, swarm fishing, blue blubber jellies, shellfish, you will be making way more than 1 million GP per hour. To give you an idea of how much money you can make, I AFK'd an hour of blue blubber jellyfish, which require 91 fishing. Can be boosted, by the way. And I made a surprising amount of money. When is the last time you saw you could make 2 million GP per hour from fishing? And that was AFK, not paying attention, not doing it too perfectly, sitting doing nothing every now and then. That's just really good money. Yeah, but 2 mil an hour isn't really that much. I mean, I can make more money doing Slayer and bossing. And yes, you'd be right, you can make way more money doing Slayer and bossing, but for a skiller this might be interesting, or someone who just simply wants to get 99 fishing can now make a lot of money doing it, slightly slower but very profitable. 2 mil per hour will add up on a slow skill like fishing, trust me. Back to the items, Sourdough and Brews of course went up in value to absolutely no surprise because people use them for tick eating. Then Nihil Familiars went up in value because people use them for Telos, Nex, Araxor, Calphite King and so on. And possibly the most annoying price increase, the price of Onyxes, because you use them for your Amulet of Souls and your Ring of Death. And they are so much more expensive now. I remember finding them expensive at around 1.5 mil, but they are now almost 2.5 mil, and they are now rising even higher because of that new amulet called the Essence of Finality, which is an amulet of souls and Reaper necklace fully charged, which is why the Onyxes are rising, because you use them to recharge both of those necklaces, combined to create that new amulet, which basically gives you an amulet that has both of those in one, and you can add any special attack ability to that amulet, which is very powerful. So I wanted to create this video because I saw this immense increase in value of these items which you use every day during PvM, and I kind of was a little sad, honestly, because it really cuts into the profit of PvM, or perhaps it might increase your GP per hour with something like a Raxor, because that boss drops a lot of Onyxes, or the Fight Kiln. Honestly, I'm just really curious to what you guys think about the cost increase of PvM supplies, so feel free to share your opinion down below. Now, before I end the video, I want to mention that after some suggestions to start some sort of Patreon thing, I have turned on YouTube memberships. Currently, I don't have any crazy special perks, but if you want to support my work and channel, feel free to by clicking the join button. But please don't feel obliged. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.